I'm just letting Val in as well. Okay.
Right. Representations from interested parties? No?
Yes, sorry, I've been quiet listening in the background. It's time for what I was looking for an opportunity just really to talk about Fletton House and the cafe hub, if that's possible. I'm not sure how much.
The hub.
Yes. Sorry, I'll introduce myself. My name's Matt Blakely. Up until the end of 2020, I was working for the England and Wales Cricket Board, live in Wood Newton, and a keen and passionate amateur cyclist around the roads of East Northamptonshire. We've lived down here as a family for about 4.5 years. Absolutely love it. And decided to take voluntary redundancy from my role at the ECB at the end of last year to follow a bit of a passion of mine, which is creating a space for people who enjoy an active lifestyle, in particular cyclists, where they can sample good food, coffee, and a space where they feel welcome and inclusive, and encourage other people to get out and about on their bikes, especially post-COVID and all the challenges that are going to be around public health and mental health and well-being and getting people more active. For me, the hub's a unique spot where it's got that space, the outside space in particular, to utilise for people looking to take part in that kind of lifestyle. Connections with the GP surgery, the library. I think there's lots of community benefits that can be developed there, and I just wanted to express my interest in the location and utilising that cafe. Now I understand it's no longer being operated as a cafe. I think for obvious reasons we won't go into, but I think it offers a unique opportunity for someone like me with my background and skill sets to make a go of it.
Thank you. Could I ask you, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Not at all.
My name's Peter Peel, by the way.
Hi, Peter.
The one thing that obviously one of the reasons we closed the hub is purely financial.
Yep.
And obviously, if we were looking to put somebody else in the hub, we have to make it very clear that you would be responsible for the bills, and you would have to pay the bills on time and not ask grants from the council, because I think we've been through that idea, and we're not going to go there again. Have you got a proper business plan drawn up?
I was waiting for this conversation in terms of really honing in that business plan. There's an outline business plan for a cafe concept that I've been working on for. It's been an interest and something I've been looking at for the last 6-7 years. So I have an outline concept. I wanted to have this conversation before fleshing that out into more detail, but that won't take long to hone down to Fletton House, especially now we know what the roadmap looks like in terms of getting back to normality and what that might look like through 2021 from a restrictions perspective. That becomes a lot easier as well. So more than happy to pull that together and share that with relevant parties as soon as possible.
As I would say, I don't think there's anybody on the estates committee that would actually begrudge you, putting in a bid to do the hub. Obviously, I'm only one person. You'd have to sort of get the whole committee behind you. But I think the one thing that we would insist on is a sound financial footing, because what we don't want is to reopen something that we had to close because it was losing money, only to find that in 2 or 3 months down the line, you'd be losing money as well, and you'd have to close again, which would, and I'm not saying it would leave us with a lot of bills, but we could have a lot of financial implications for the council again. So I'm quite happy for this to run, and I'm sure if you talk to all the others on the screen today that's on the committee, I'm pretty certain that most of those would say, good idea, let's talk about it, let's see what we can do. But I think we'd all want some sort of reassurance that this would not be a financial burden on the council. Now, if you can come back with a proper business plan, and I'm sure, as I say, I'm sure Ian and Val and Malcolm and Tony would say the same. You really do need to have that in place before we can you know, move any further forward. It's a good idea. It's a good concept. And I understand the concept, but it does need, you know, a forward-looking business plan.
Yeah, and I wanted to understand what your position was. I spent 10 years as a corporate bank manager, so understand all the challenges and the frustrations that an organisation like yourselves might have with letting somebody take on a unit and the risks that go alongside that. For me, this is a lifestyle choice and something I want to make work, and not something that I'm looking for handouts from the council to operate. This would be purely on a commercial basis in there. Sorry, Malcolm, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just want to make the point there are other uses in Fletton House, other people there. And so you will have to take that into account in your business plan, I think, how they will be served and how they'll be satisfied.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, absolutely right in terms of providing that space and that relationship with the other users needs to be considered. Tony?
Yeah. Just, I know we're not debating it now, and Peter's quite right in saying put the plan together. One important thing is, in my mind, there's something a little bit different between the hub and the hub cafe. And the hub was very specifically set up as a community space. And I personally would not be keen on it being anything other than a community space. So the cafe, the bar that serves the drinks and so on, is discreet in its own right. But the access of that area for people who are not cafe customers would remain, to my mind, still important. And this would all have to go through when there's a full consideration at a proper meeting. But just for you to understand where some of us are coming from. Yeah,
completely understand.
Ian?
I was going to say, I think it sounds a great idea. I think tying all of that stuff together sounds brilliant. You mentioned your background at the EWCB.
England Wales Cricket Board, yeah.
What is that making any more exciting?
So I looked after grassroots development across the east of England, so working with clubs and counties to grow grassroots participation from children up to adult cricket, and managing the programmes that the ECB managed and funded to deliver that.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much.
That will stand you in good stead with Ian.
Good. Any more questions?
No, I think, as I say, if you can come back with more positive conclusions and a proper business plan, then we can all sit down and look at it and go from there. I think we need to have that. I'm not being horrible when I say this. You would need to have some sort of references as well, because obviously we need to be sure of a sound footing financially. I'm sorry to emphasise that, but it is important because we've had our fingers burnt for the last cafe in the hub.
Yeah, I can fully appreciate that. And would wholeheartedly expect you to ask those questions. So no problem at all.
Anybody else got anything to say? Well, thank you, Matt, for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Come back to us as soon as you can.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Great.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
I don't know if you want to stay. You can hang around a bit if you want to. It's a bit boring.
I might just listen in if that's all right, actually.
Okay. So the next thing, Lisa, we've changed the agenda slightly, haven't we?
Yes.
Are we going into the rugby club now?
Can do, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
Do apologies at the end, won't you?
I think this, in light of other emails, I don't know if all of you read the emails tonight from the rugby club. I'm afraid it might be, unfortunately, Matt, that we have to ask you to leave anyway, because I think we're going to have to go into some sort of private, confidential conference.
Understand.
So I do apologise.
No problem at all. That's all right.
But thank you
very much. Okay, cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Is it recording off, Lisa?
But if you do go into closed session, you're going to have to ask Barbara and Gwen to leave.
Oh,
I suggest you keep you start off your conversation in open session so that you can get the input from Gwen and Barbara
Ah, right. Okay. Fine.
before it, and then if you feel that you need to go into closed session, then you can.
All right. It's just the last section of an email we received. Well, later today, Lisa. I only just read it 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago. So,
Or maybe leave that to the end.
should I, in that case, then, Barbara,
Yes.
Gwen, you've both, I understand, hopefully had the conversation with Lisa. You've seen the letter from Seaton's. As I understand it, you both know that we do own this land that ENC are saying is ours.
I think it's theirs.
Sorry, it's theirs, sorry. But we think it's ours because we've had it for so long. I apologise for that. So what I need, what Oundle Council are honestly looking for from both of you is firstly, the facts behind what you know, because I think that's important, because you were there, you understand what's going on, you can actually give us the facts as you see them. And also, in regards to the letter from Seaton's, they do require some sort of witnesses to write letters to the ownership of the land. So I wonder if I could start with, because I can't see Gwen, so I'm going to start with Barbara.
I was going to say, can I start because I'd come before Barbara in the timescale?
Oh, in that case, then I didn't know that, Gwen. Sorry, Barbara.
No, it's
I'll
fine.
stand down because I've been told that she's got to come first.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's fine.
is that all right? Because I'm going to do it with chronologically. Okay.
Okay, no, it's no problem at all.
I joined the council in 1979, which was a few years after the Rural District Council vanished, and we had the East Northants District Council and Oundle Town Council. I don't think I've ever seen a piece of paper that says the land, this is the deed. However, when I joined the council had already got a lease with the rugby club and the bowls club. And I don't see how solicitors for the council could have written those with those clubs previously to my joining the council without the council owning the land. In my time on the council, which was 36 years, the ownership of that land was never thought of as anything but Oundle Town Council's. In fact, the few things I said about the rugby club is I can't understand why they're paying so little money, why the bowls club is paying so little money. And the things I used to say is this is ridiculous, especially when they were asking the council to spend a lot of money on Occupation Road and they were paying £10 a year, however many years it was. I do know, and I've sent some documents into Lisa, from sort of 86, 87, it's when the first draft, one of the Oundle draft town plan, there's a whole thing, the draft written statement of the local plan in 1986, the ENC talks about recreation. On the recreation pages, the ENC doesn't state anywhere when they're talking about possible uses or the clubs that are using it, that any of that land is in their ownership. The documents I've sent to Lisa in 1988 were about possible changes or sales of land or things which were discussed with ENC, and ENC officers were involved when they were coming and talking about possible sales, changes of land, a new building down there and everything else. In none of those documents is the ownership of the land claimed by them. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. And you've given Lisa all that information, have you?
Yes, I have.
Great. And can we get a letter from you as a witness to say that, as far as you're concerned, it's never been a question of who owned the land, but just Oundle Council?
Yes.
That's fantastic. So, may I now bring in Barbara?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, my name's Barbara Ding. I was clerk to Oundle Town Council for about 6 years. I was appointed in 1996. I think Councillor Michael Clack was chairman of council at the time, and Gwen was probably vice chairman. And I was clerk until 1992 when I moved to East Northamptonshire District Council and worked for them until I retired in 2009. When I was appointed, there was no town council office. The clerk before me worked part-time from her own home. So I didn't inherit any volume of records from her, and what paperwork I acquired was delivered to me in various and multiple carrier bags. However, we very soon did establish an office in the Queen Victoria Hall, but as with Gwen, at no time have I seen, I've no recollection of ever seeing the transfer of property order, which would have been required under the 1972 Act. So the 1972 Act, which established East Northamptonshire District Council in 1974, there would have been a statutory instrument in 1973, which was the transfer of property order, and that would have delineated and set out in a schedule what land, what property, including land, was transferred from the then Urban District Council to East Northamptonshire Council. I don't think I ever saw that. I would have assumed that that was published somewhere. It must be available somewhere in the archives of East Northamptonshire Council. But while I was with the Town Council and while I was with the District Council, I never saw such a document. But I can say, hand on heart, and I'm happy to provide a statement to that effect, that there has never been any suggestion, to my knowledge, that the land where the sports clubs are sited on off Occupation Road was anything but Oundle Town Council property. I believe it was retained by the Town Council, that it was not transferred, and I've never seen anything to suggest otherwise.
Can I just add to that, Barbara, before going back to that? When I joined the council, there were councillors on the council then, you'd have to look at the photograph, who had also been on the Rural District Council and then town councillors, and some of them who served on both bodies. And those were the cohort that I joined as a very young councillor at that time, the Grey Suits Brigade, and none of them, whichever body they were serving on, ever questioned the ownership of that land as being Oundle Town Council's.
Yeah. Sorry, Emma's asking to speak.
I just wondered, was there ever a time when it was discussed about registering them, because they're not registered at all?
No, it was never. As far as I'm aware, there was no discussion about it. It was just assumed that the land was the Town Council's property because it had been retained by them and not transferred under the transfer of property order.
Barbara, can I ask you, obviously the previous clerk to yourself, I don't know the lady's name or the man's name. I mean, are they still alive?
I believe so.
Who was it?
Eileen Gunn.
Eileen Gunn. Eileen Gunn.
Eileen Gunn.
But
does she still live in Oundle, or?
She lived in Barnwell.
Right.
But I doubt very much whether she has retained anything. I mean, she might be able to provide a statement. I think, as Gwen has alluded to, the more substantive evidence or submission could be made by David Wills, who was serving on the Urban District Council. He was present at the last meeting. One of the things I did was check at the museum yesterday afternoon to see whether there might be any information about Occupation Road or the Rugby Club or the Urban District Council held by the museum. And they do have a photograph of the actual last meeting of the council on, I think it was the 18th of March, 1974.
Right.
And David Wills, who lives on Benfield Road and is,
Yeah, yeah.
is I'm sure known to many of you, was present at that meeting, and of course was subsequently chairman of the town council.
Okay.
So
Well, I know David. Gwen, you know David as well, don't you?
Yes.
and I know him well, so I'm sure
Yeah,
he would provide a statement for
Okay,
you
that's
if you would
brilliant.
help.
Yeah.
I've had a search here. I have no paperwork here about Arundel Town Council at all. I've been able to find an Arundel Oracle, one of the early Arundel Oracles, when David actually was chairman, which provides information for residents about the properties that the town council owns, and it includes the properties on Occupation Road. It's just
Who were the printers then?
Inkwell. I'm
Yeah.
sure,
Inkwell.
I'm sure it was,
I've got copies of all of those as well.
got it here.
The interesting thing, I'm going to come back, is that no members of the district council or officers of the district council, to my knowledge, in all the time I was on the council, have ever questioned the ownership of that land was with Arundel Town Council. So the fact that they registered, according to the letter and the information Lisa's given, registered the property in 2001 with the land
Years ago.
registry. It just baffles me that that actually happened. Was it because that was a point of another plan, or they wanted to develop it?
Well, that's unfortunately ENC are not telling us that. Gwen,
Can I just interrupt? I've
Of course,
spoken
Val.
to David. I've spoken to David Wills. He had the same reaction as Barbara and Gwen. Rubbish. He said no way was it ever owned by the district council.
Right. And I know David would probably make a statement to that anyway,
I'm
won't
sure
he?
he would. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I don't think there'll be any problem there. So we've got 3 with you, Val. We've got 4. David, I'm assuming you could make a statement to that effect as well. Is David Chappell not there?
He's mute. He's muted
Ah.
himself. That's it.
I tried to press the unmute button and something went crazy, but hopefully you can hear me now. Yes,
So
I mean, I
assuming
joined
you
the
could make the
council.
same sort of witness statement, David.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the council continuously since '86. And as far as I was aware, throughout that entire period, there was never any question of anybody other than the town council owning it. Indeed, it seems to me pretty inconceivable that the rugby club would have taken a lease from the town council if the town council couldn't have proved to the rugby club at the time that it owned it. You know, the first fundamental you do if you're acting for a tenant is to check that the purported landlord is actually entitled to lease it to you.
So we need to talk to the rugby club as well then, don't we, really?
I think we should see what the rugby club's got. I've been all through loads and loads of papers I've got going back forever. I can't find any copy of any deed as such. I saw what Lisa had sent to me earlier today, which is clear evidence of a piece of land, but unfortunately as yet we're not quite clear which piece of land, but a piece of land that was transferred to the old UDC, and which, as far as I'm aware, that piece of land is still within the ownership of Arundel Town Council. What we need to establish is exactly what parcel, I think it was 261 of the 1926 Ordnance Survey map actually relates to, because we haven't been able to find a map to work that out yet. But if we can find a copy of that, and if it confirms what I think it'll confirm, then it's pretty obvious that somehow the thing got registered by mistake. Heaven only knows how. But it's extraordinary because, as everybody says, ENC have never ever asserted their ownership of that land as against the town council. And that's notwithstanding the fact that, for example, they were asked to approve planning applications by the rugby club, which we commented upon as the owner and so forth. So, you know, it's bizarre, utterly bizarre.
So what we need to do then, if I can sort of get this, sorry Val, go on.
Can I just ask Barbara how long deeds would be kept by what became the district council? I mean, surely if land had been transferred at any time, the deeds would be kept even if other documents weren't.
They certainly should have been. One of the things that I was curious about was why, as Gwen has alluded to, this registration was purported to have happened in 2001. And I've been trying to work out chronologically what of significance happened in 2001. And the only thing I can think of is the housing voluntary stock, the large scale voluntary stock transfer of housing that was finalised in, I'm sure it was 2001, when East Northamptonshire Council set up East Northants Housing, which subsequently became Spire Housing, and that transfer, that LSVT as we called them at the time, excuse the anachronism, was formally signed in 2001. I'm sure of it. And one of the things that I did this afternoon was I Googled asset management at East Northants, and there's it just clarified for me that it was that issue, that matter that created the registration. There is, and I saw it online, Lisa, there is a copy of minutes of an asset management meeting at East Northants Council that happened in September 2005. And I can read it to you. I actually typed it off. It says, the panel noted that whilst undertaking work to register all council-owned land with the land registry following the following 3 sites in the ownership of ENC had not been transferred to East Northamptonshire Council, now Spire Homes, at the time of the housing transfer. So it talks about the LSVT, the large-scale voluntary stock transfer that happened in 2001, and in 2005 they were looking back at what land had been transferred then and noting that other land was still outstanding, and they were going to talk to Spire Homes about the transfer of other pieces of land. So what we're looking for is something, at least some documentation to show what was actually transferred to Spire Homes in 2001. And that should be available somewhere. And I know that, I understand that you made a Freedom of Information request to East Northants Council, and they weren't amenable to agreeing to that.
No. They said the cost and manpower was prohibitive, so they weren't obliged to continue without that line of inquiry.
Okay. So would it be worth if there were someone at the town council, member of staff who was who made themselves available to do such a search, who it might be completely fruitless, but it might be worth suggesting maybe to the district council that, I mean, it must be in the strong room somewhere, just to look for the transfer order that happened in 1973, and for the documentation relating to the stock transfer to Spire in 2001, which might bring something to light of relevance. Plus, we've got to continue to look for the map that David has mentioned already. If the town council made the resource available, it might be a complete waste of somebody's time. But if somebody was able to say, well, if we provide the manpower, can you open up to those and have a look? The difficulty is, of course, that the lockdown is preventing those sorts of visits being made, and with the transfer imminent of property to the new North Northamptonshire Unitary Authority, that is also going to be an additional complication, isn't it? But it's worth the phone call to the chief exec, in my opinion.
Well, I think on that we should get either Emma or Tony to do that. Make the phone call to the chief exec.
I think I have to stand down from phoning the chief exec.
All right then.
Somebody better.
He's still in his naughty books.
Qualified. But just in support of what Barbara has said there in the summary, that is the same that I found. There was the footpath that leads off St. Peter's Road.
That's right.
Was parcelled in with the houses. So when the houses, you know, especially on the same day, the surplus pieces of land were transferred back to ENC. So there's a whole list of about 8 or more pieces of land. Most of them are ransom strips, but you can see that all pockets of land between, you know, essentially council houses. So what was being transferred at that point was the footpath back to ENC. And if it was this piece of land that was being transferred, the description would have been land behind the houses on St. Peter's Road, not the land off St. Peter's Road. You know, so it's clear to me that, you know, a clerical error was made, you know, in that transfer. So there's 2 places to look for it. One is in the land that was transferred to East Northamptonshire Homes, you know, when they did the transfer of assets, and the other one is going to Spire, or now the parent company, and asking them if they've got a copy of the document, because they will obviously have had a copy themselves. But it is a mistake, and I feel going forward, you know, from this meeting, Peter, and I know it's your meeting, but yeah, I really feel that we need now, you know, a formal letter to ENC saying there's clearly a clerical error has happened here, you know, and putting on the table to them that, you know, whether they will correct the clerical error.
Oh, I think that was the conclusion. I think what most of us were going to come to tonight, anyway, Tony.
Yeah.
We do need an official letter from Arundel Council explaining the situation, and I think Emma has got it all down on paper. She knows exactly what the situation is, and I'm sure. Sorry, not Emma. I keep looking at Lisa and seeing Emma twice. I think Lisa could actually get this done and sorted fairly quickly, because I think we need to get a hand on this as soon as we can, and I think we should also follow it up with the evidence from the people that will give us the witness statements as soon as we can as well. David?
I worry slightly contacting ENC until we've got further advice from the solicitor.
Okay.
I wouldn't want us to have sent a letter that then put a spanner in the works from the point of view of any claim for adverse possession that we might be making. So I think we would need guidance from them.
I think have we not, Lisa, if I remember rightly, have we not sent an update to Seaton's in regard to the fact that the land was numbered wrongly?
I've sent him all the information, but I think we've still got one of 2 choices, which is either to pay to be able to have a look at the documents that ENC used to register the rugby club, or we bypass that and just go for what's it called? Possession.
Adverse possession.
Adverse possession, which may well end up in a court case, but we've got plenty of circumstantial evidence to say that even in the last 20 years since they registered it, they've not challenged our usage of it. But sorry, Emma, go on.
Temporarily forgotten what I was going to say. Sorry. No, but I think Lisa, sorry, that's what I was going to say. Lisa has been in communication with the person at East Northampton Council who just keeps coming back. Is her name Susie? Keeps coming back, yeah, saying, you know, in their eyes, it's registered to them. So I'm just not even sure whether we would get a letter, even if we wrote to the chief exec. He will go straight to whoever manages all of their property. They'll turn around and say, yes, it's registered in our name. And so I don't think anything will come of that. I think we're going to have to hit it quite hard.
Should we go for the adverse
possession
that Seaton's have gone for? I mean, if that's the situation, we really do need to hit hard, as you say, Emma, and I think you're probably right. Shall we go for that? Can I ask all those in favour?
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think now we're getting, have I given everything or say everything that I can be of help? Because I think now it's about councillors making decisions, which...
Yes, I think, thank you very much, Gwen. I think I would say thank you very much. If you can get me that letter of the evidence that we need from yourself, and in fact from you, Barbara, as well, if you wouldn't mind, if you can do that, that would be absolutely smashing. And as I say, the decisions now, unfortunately, because we're the councillors, we've got to make some decisions.
Yeah.
So can I just say thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Barbara and Gwen.
And if anybody can speak to David as well and get a letter, sorry, I'm not talking about David Chappell, I'm talking about, oh, I can't remember his name now. He's on
David Wills.
Yeah.
That's
David
it.
Wills.
Yeah, David Wills. There's too many Davids. If you can have a chat with David and get him sorted as well.
People are trying to put their hands up, Peter.
Well, I can't see half of them. Goodbye, Gwen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Barbara.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Gwen. Thank you very much.
Just quickly to say, Peter, I have spoken to David Wills today.
Great.
And the same as what Val said, he said there's never even been a whisper from ENC that there's any doubt about the ownership. He has got a cupboard full of documents and he said he will try in the next couple of days to look through them, see if he can find anything. But again, all of it is just going to possibly be minutes mentioning our plans for the rugby club and everything.
Yeah.
So it's none of it. We're not going to miraculously find a deed,
No,
I don't think, at this point.
So let's wait for Seatons to come back. Ask them if they can do it urgently again, Lisa. And then I think we have to go for the most serious way we can go forward. Because, and I'll say, the reason for that is when we switch off the mic, we'll talk about that anyway. But I think that's the only way forward. Are we all agreed on that, gentlemen and ladies?
Well, the only question, the one I put before, and David said, you know, before you do anything like this, check.
Oh yeah, no, Seatons first.
Yeah, so it's
Seatons first.
Seatons, so
You know, Seatons first,
yeah,
and then we go. Then we go into action.
Yeah, right into ENC though, and asking them to, you know, to.
Well, we've written. Lisa's written to ENC, and she keeps getting a blank wall. Tony, where are you gone?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're there. It's all right. All of a sudden, I've got a great big picture of Ian. I wonder what happened there. So yeah, Lisa's already written to ENC and keeps getting a blank wall, Tony.
Yeah, I just.
Emma. Sorry, Tony, go on.
Malcolm wants to speak.
Malcolm, I can't see him. Where's Malcolm?
Well, I'm here. It was a bit distorted on my screen. Anyway, I need a haircut. Maybe you couldn't see me. Anyway, but
Haven't been talking that long.
I've had a haircut for a long time. All right. Should it not be us that's writing, but should it be Seatons that's writing that have more weight if a solicitor's letter comes in than ours?
Oh yeah.
I think what we've got to do, Malcolm, is get Seatons to acknowledge what we've already sent them first, to go through what Lisa sent them the other day, and then once we've got that, we can either A, ask Seatons to write to ENC, or B, we do it ourselves. The only problem I foresee, and I say I hark back to what's going to be talked about in a few minutes, is that the urgency now is to a point where if we don't get something sorted very, very soon, we could cause problems elsewhere.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm quite happy for Seatons to do it, providing they get their, you know, like all solicitors, pull their fingers out for change and get things done.
Well, that's up to us. They'd have more weight. They'd be more frightening.
Yes, I agree with you.
With the NC.
So we've got to wait for Seatons.
On that, please, Peter.
Sorry?
Put an exception on that, please.
Exception of what?
Present company.
Oh, I do apologise, ladies. I wasn't actually talking. Well, never mind. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's too late now.
No offence is taken.
Anyway, okay, Lisa, are you okay with that?
I think so, yes.
Well, what I would like to do is draft what I think the content of a letter to Seatons should look like.
Well, I think Lisa's already done it. We're just waiting for the response from Seatons.
I don't know what, but I'd like to draft this thing and then share it with you, or share it with Lisa.
Well, well, okay. It's just that we've already sent the letter to Seaton's about what's already been done about the mistakes on the numbers, etc., etc.
Yeah, but
That's what we're waiting for them to come back on.
This is not about the mistakes on the numbers. This is the mistakes on the red line that's drawn on the map.
Okay, all right, yeah, but let's not take too much longer, Tony. Sorry, I'm not pushing, or I am pushing you because I know what's coming next, and I'm worried about
going down this route, Peter. If we can get this accepted, then it will be a far quicker route.
Yes, I know it will. Yeah. Okay, so let's wait for that. Okay. Right.
Sorry, what are we waiting
Anybody
for?
else got anything to say before we go into closed session about something else?
What are we going into closed session for, Peter?
The letter from the rugby club.
Oh, the other bit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Are we now off, Lisa?
You need to do a vote. You need
Sorry,
to
can I
do
have a vote on the closed session, which is something I hate and I don't like to vote for it, but unfortunately on this particular instance, I think we have to.
Are you proposing that, Peter?
I'm proposing it. Anybody second it? Ian? All those in favour? Well, I can't see you. Are you voting?
I'm waving my hand. Like that.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you, Val. Sorry.
Brother.
Are we switched back on now then, Lisa?
Yeah.
So we've received the update.
Did you do declarations of interest? Because I was a bit late joining.
No, we
wasn't
did
I?
all that. Yeah, that's all been done and
I'll
sorted.
say goodbye now anyway.
That was complicated.
Okay.
I didn't realise you were still here, Tony. I thought you'd already gone.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Good evening.
Anybody else going?
Right, that's
No,
all.
unfortunately, if anybody else goes, we can't continue with the meeting.
No.
Okay, so we've done that. Minutes of the previous meeting. Does everybody approve the previous meeting?
I'll-
Yeah.
All those, that's it. Lovely. Carried.
Sorry, who proposed? Who second?
Ian, Malcolm, Val,
Ian.
and I all voted for it. Ian was first.
Okay.
Right, to receive the income and expenditure, I can't really talk about that. And to receive progress update on ENC's properties and open spaces.
Yeah.
We've received that. The other update, we've actually sort of got that because we've talked about that with the gentleman that's thing. To receive update from solicitor regarding potential actions for the rugby club and decide next steps. We've done that, Lisa, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Fletton House, update C report, got that. QVH, update C report, got that. Courthouse, update C report. Car park, toilets. Recreation ground, update. Snipe Meadow, update. Projects, workshop. Well, that's actually on the back boiler at the moment, isn't it, Lisa?
Nothing to report.
Yes, it is
Let's
on
be
the
honest. We're not doing anything with that, are we?
Thank goodness
No.
we didn't start building it.
No, that's very good, actually. Right, now, yeah, what did happen to the... I've got the thing here. I just haven't gone through everything that was on there. What did happen to the electric things? Have they started being done yet? Oh, here it is. Got it here.
I've not seen any work starting yet.
No, I haven't
but-
either. No.
So I don't know about that.
Okay, well,
There's nothing on today's highway report, but maybe it's not highways.
Mm,
The new
no.
road's not on it, so maybe they haven't done that either.
Excuse me, do we have to look at this Arundel Music Trust plans for the festival here?
That's coming up at the end.
That's coming up
yeah,
at the
that's,
end.
that's at the end, Malcolm, don't worry.
All right.
We're whipping through all this lot first.
All right, yeah, okay, carry on.
Okay, all right, St. Peter's Church update. Arundel Cemetery, I have to admit I haven't read that, Lisa. I haven't had time. What's happened?
Well, Emma just asked me to put it on here because apparently that development where we were going to benefit by getting that extra bit of land at the cemetery
Yeah,
has now
David
been
Wilson.
put on hold. It's not imminent. I believe it's been in discussion for 7 odd years, I think.
Yeah.
So we've now got to start thinking about alternative sites. I mean, I don't know how I have no idea how you go about it.
Well, the thing is, we could actually still go back to the landowners, which is not David Wilson, to see if they would sell us a small parcel of land, can't we?
Well, I did suggest that to Emma, but she said the problem with that is the landowner will now have pound signs in his eyes because it's prime development land. So he would probably be wanting market value as it stands as development land, which we possibly can't afford. I mean, he might take pity on us and say, look, because it's you and it's for, you know, an essential service. But I suppose it's a step, isn't it?
Could you write to them and just ask? I mean, we're not going to, you know, there's no reason why we can't ask them, is there?
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. So let's write to them, ask, and see what happens. Okay.
Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The update on the Jones Strong. That's fair enough.
Do we need to approve anything on that, or is that all done?
No, it's just a right to, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to put David proposed it, Val second, and you're all happy, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Jones Strong Centre. Seen that. Right, now, this one is yours, Ian, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
Right.
just on the Jones Strong, do we need to vote on that quotation, or is that all done and dusted?
Well, he's repaired it for now, but last time you asked me just to get a ballpark figure to remove it and put it with something, replace it with something better. So, yeah, we'll wait until the roof needs replacing now, it seems as we've spent the money on having it repaired.
Cool.
So we've got the green spaces, and to receive an update from Council Clark to consider and approve signage. Now, there's lots of signs here, Ian.
Yeah, the only question with that, I mean, the first thing about the green spaces is the wildlife warden idea, wildflower warden idea that we talked about in the last meeting. We've put something out electronically, and we've had 5 or 6 responses, including one excellent one from a University of Cambridge biologist who's giving lots of good advice. And we've put it in the advertiser for this coming 2 weekends' time to see if anyone who's non-technologically excited wants to get involved as well. And I spoke last night at the Blooming Oundle online meeting about it, so we can progress things hand in hand. Clearly, the idea of putting stuff on the ground now is probably not going to happen, but we've got a nice long run into sort of 2022. So that's progressing nicely, and I can report back when we get a bit of action on that. The other one is the signage. At the moment, Rebecca's come up with those signage ideas, and it would be nice to get a quote to work out if we're talking about £5 or £5,000 to generate them all. But the question I was hoping to put to you tonight is whether you like the signs with the lines on or the signs without the lines on, as a matter of preference. I'm
a line sort of man, so I like lines.
Yeah, so I'm a man. I'm a line sort of off man, but I think I maybe do like them with lines on. Any thoughts?
They make it stronger, I think, don't you?
Malcolm Val, any line theories or ideas?
Not really, but I noticed there are 2 different ones for the QVH. One refers to Oundle Town Council, and the other one's managed on behalf of the trust.
Yep.
And I think we should mention the trust.
Yeah.
And that one in particular looks clearer. That looks clearer without the lines on.
Yeah, so I like it without lines. Val?
Yeah.
Cast and vote?
Don't mind.
Don't mind.
I just was, why I was a bit distant was because I was thinking, can we afford it if we're going to have to spend money on trying to sort this problem out at the rugby club?
Yeah, no, the answer is who knows. And I think that all we're after is
who knows? It's not an answer to budgeting.
But it's not a question. It's not a question.
I think it's just as a matter
not
of
a
which
question
ones we
of
like,
either or, but, you know.
and then getting a price.
Yeah, if we
Not
go to
committing ourselves to
Yes,
anything.
getting a price, I'm fine.
if we go to someone and say we need 10 of these and 4 of those and 8 of
That's
those,
fine.
they can come back. So it's just a sort of generic question at the moment. Okay.
Actually, I think I'm without the line man on all of them. So there you are.
Okay. Lisa, have you got a strong line opinion?
How do you
No,
feel
not really.
about lines or no lines?
They do stand out better with the lines on, I must admit. But
They're nicer without the lines.
Yeah,
Can we have a vote for the lines or the no lines?
Let's wait. There might be a cost implication. Crack on.
be cheaper with that, yeah.
So we're doing it without the lines.
Well, we'll go and find out what the costs are. I'm sure.
Yeah, let's find out the cost and come back to us next time.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Right, so market update. We've seen the report on that. They seem to be going okay, Lisa. I don't see any problems with them.
No, the hand sanitizer stations should be being put in this week.
Yeah.
I've had a few people say that people aren't obeying the one-way system anymore, and we've reminded the traders they should be wearing masks. I must admit I've not had a chance to get down there, but I'll try this week. Try and get down there this week to have a little look round to see if people are behaving and doing what they should be doing. But Emma did say if we feel it is a problem and people aren't doing what we've asked them to do, then we might have to start managing it a bit more closely again, as we did when we first started with the lockdown.
Can I just say something? A couple
Yes,
of
of
things.
course, Malcolm, you carry on.
The cheese man wasn't there last week. I hope we haven't lost him because he's good and I like his cheese. Have we lost the fish man? Because I noticed he was late on paying his bills, wasn't he, as well, on the last, or he appeared to be. I'm not...
I don't think we've lost him. I know there's been quite a bit of sickness because I know the pet man and the flower man have been off. I'll have to ask Karen, Malcolm, because I don't really know.
Okay. But people seem to be behaving themselves. When I went down there last week, I thought they were being pretty good about wearing their masks.
Oh, that's good. Okay. It's good to hear.
Just looking at social media, people are asking about the fish man, but there's now a competitive fish man down at the wharf, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, there's a fresh from somewhere fish or something or other. So along with a milk person, which is exciting.
Is that on Friday, did you say, Ian?
I think it is Friday, yeah. So
He used to stand at the football club.
Yeah. Oh,
Now
right.
he's moved down to the the bridge. What's it called? I can't remember.
Can we entice him to our market?
Well, he's always been here, Malcolm, but he's always normally he used to go to the football club, stand in the football club. But now he's, as you say, he's moved down to the wharf. So whether he'll come to the market, I don't know. But the best fishman's on the second Saturday in the month.
Cool.
The farmers market. Or I can always, I go to Brancaster quite often if you want any fresh fish.
Not at the moment, I hope.
No.
I'm not going to, I do that on a commercial visit, Ian.
Oh, well, that's fine then if it's work related.
I can do that on a work related business, you see. Anyway, so to consider the offer from Kier Utility Solutions in the latest NELCAT update. Councillor Clark, that's down to you again.
It was just it appeared in the NCALT thing. It's a sort of thing that NCALT seemed to back, saying contact this utility, not provider, but broker, I suppose. Apparently, we have a good relationship with our broker already, but the idea seemed to be that they potentially get cheaper rates. And I suppose their suggestion was make contact, even if you're in a fixed price period, a fixed contract period. Get yourself on their mailing list. It's sort of backed and approved by NCALT to some extent. And I think, Lisa, you checked, and we are with a provider who's very good, but it was just a question about whether we should make contact to at least get on their list to see as and when we need something, we can get a more competitive price. And if we can't, then whoopee-doo.
That's fine. I understand that. That's great.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Now then, I've seen your plan for the war memorial.
Well, it's more of an idea than a plan.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's all right.
That's all right.
So you're proposing how would we actually do that, Ian? I'm trying to figure out how we could do that, to be honest.
How we could do it. Just a quick reminder, this came out of people talking about there were all the issues last sort of summer and autumn about people sitting on or around the memorial.
I remember that, yeah.
I went on to that webinar with Historic England and asked the question saying, we have this issue, how do we resolve it? And their solution was one of the problems of many 1920s war memorials, is they put them in the centre of a town, so the best view of the town is from the war memorial. And the idea was, in their case, can you put seating around it? Obviously we can't, because it's in the middle of a road. And then it was conversations with other people about places to park bikes, and I found that 2011 report from East North Hants, which appears to have come from Oundle Town Council originally, about putting an island around it. And the other issue that I know people have had in the past is the idea of sort of vans and buses and cars parking in front of the memorial. So it's a sort of draft suggestion of all of those merged together with some clever 3D printing that I must admit isn't mine, but I've got a small child of mine to do it. So you've got that sort of path with a sort of pedestrian safety zone in the middle of it.
Yes, yeah.
And I prefer the idea of having the two benches next to each other so you can have a conversation. And the bollards, which are just there to represent bollards, apparently they're the hardest thing on there to design on a 3D computer thing. Could be bike parking things, but also would be what highways would be after for sort of protection of pedestrians. So in the it sort of solves a number of problems potentially. It doesn't need to look anything like that. That's just an idea. The question is whether we wanted to start talking to highways and see if it's something that they would be interested in talking about in the next few years, or not at all, or something or other. I think it seemed to potentially solve a number of problems. If people want to go and sit in that part of town, it gives them somewhere to sit. They want to park bikes somewhere in the middle of town outside Beans or whatever, it might give them something like that. It might solve parking problems, and it might be a nice bit of public space. But it's just an idea rather than a solution.
To be honest, I'd actually would go further. To my mind, I would ban all cars, lorries and buses from New Street, West Street and North Street. Make it a full pedestrian town centre. It wouldn't work because nobody would actually adhere to it.
Now, whether the A427 would like being put somewhere else, I'm not sure.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't work because nobody would adhere to it. But to me, we have a beautiful, beautiful town centre which is ruined by cars. It is totally ruined by cars. And in fact, even bikes now, because there's so many of them parked in one area, although it's not so bad now because of the lockdown, but in the summer, even the bikes are overtaking where people can walk. They're sort of parking them anywhere and everywhere. So we do need a good solution to all this, and it really does need to have something done, because we need to keep Oundle, the centre of Oundle, for pedestrians. There's two problems with that, obviously. That is one, parking, because we've got a very serious shortage of parking, and B, whether we could get whoever is the new masters of the highways to agree to any type of restrictions in any way. But we do need to have this situation where we've got places where, I mean, for instance, where we've got places where people can sit and just relax. And I mean, for instance, the island round where the old Building Society used to be. I mean, that would be absolutely a smashing place if you could have an island there full of chairs and people sitting down and having a coffee and things like that. It would be beautiful, absolutely beautiful, in the summer especially, you know. So it would be great if we could do that. I just don't know how. Has anybody got any other solutions? Val?
Just following on from what you say, we have had a situation in the past where the cafes in the town centre have wanted to put chairs on there, and highways have absolutely said no. We've been down that route, unfortunately.
Well, it might be with the new Clean Air Act and the fact that everybody's going to be electric in 10 years' time. It might actually be slightly different. You never know.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can now get scooters that run on electricity as well. Malcolm, and then Ian.
I think the Val's right. I mean, the safety, the problem they're going to bring up is safety.
Yeah.
This is all very left field, but I haven't really thought this through. But would it be possible to close one side, say between Beans and the island, to make that all a pedestrian area, and pull all the traffic on the other side? That means you had loosened car parking spaces on the other side outside the bank.
Just on that note,
And
I think we've got to look at.
then you haven't got a
every
problem
solution.
with access and crossing traffic to get to the middle.
well, at the moment, people cross without any protection, and this does provide more protection.
It does.
Not.
It does.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
One of the
Yeah.
Can I just speak? One of the important points here is this came out of a conversation with Highways. I was talking to them a few months ago, so they're not averse to it, but I think the idea is if we go to them and start talking, it may look nothing like this in the end, and it may not work, but it seemed a good way of leveraging that conversation about, okay, well, if this doesn't work, how else do we get seating, safety for pedestrians, etc., etc. So I suppose what I was after tonight is just the idea of me being able to stay in contact with Highways and talk to them about this, particularly as we're heading to Northants, and just on that basis, you know, the idea of Northants and how we deal with traffic in town in general seems to be an important conversation that's come out of the Rural Forum meetings that you've had, Peter. So,
It has. Yeah, I agree.
it's a conversation that, even if this is the kernel of an idea that solves some of those other problems, at least it's a starting point. So if people are happy with me carrying on conversations, that's sort of what I'm looking for backing for tonight, really.
Val.
Can I just say that I think what we should be doing first is really trying to find some more parking before we get on to any other development, if you like, of the town centre, which we have over the years spent a lot of time trying to sort out and making some changes like the ones around the town centre there. But we really desperately need another car park, and we may have to spend money buying land for it.
Yeah, just on that basis, I mean, again, this might be the kernel of talking about that, because it's not taking away any parking spaces, because you're not supposed to
No,
park.
it's putting more pedestrians into the town who would want to park their cars somewhere, as Peter said a few minutes ago.
Yeah, or maybe they might bike in or walk in. But the other point is the idea of, if we do make that central part of town a bit more of a focal point, then perhaps a long-term car park or a car park nearer, maybe on South Road, might be something that we need to look at. So again, this might be the leverage that makes us start talking about that. So
which land on South Road are you talking about?
The football pitches, which I gather are being
school property.
Yeah, which I gather are being.
It's
closed
also
off.
floodplain. It's been very flooded.
Yeah, not all of it though.
Floodplain.
Some of it is. But again, is that something we should maybe start looking at?
But we've certainly got to look.
If I may, as Ian's already started, I think we really should let Ian, carry this forward and see how far we can get, and come back with, some more ironclad suggestions. I think the suggestion about parking from Val is very valid, in the fact that if we want the centre of town to be more pedestrianised, we've got to put those people that come out from outside Anfield somewhere. Yeah. So we need to have a better parking structure. I don't know how we can organise that. We have got, for instance, obviously the wharf. They've got parking down there. That could be useful. We have the long-term car park, but again, we've only got about 7 years left on that. We've got the drill hall, possibly South Road, but we'd need to talk to the school to see if they would allow us hard parking there, because it's no good at putting it on the grass, especially if it falls down with rain. But would obviously you work at an Oundle school, have they got the inclination to be able to use parking down there? Could you have that conversation here?
I can certainly ask. Yeah, I can certainly ask.
It's worth doing, isn't it?
Yeah,
worth doing. So I like the idea. I think it's a way forward, and you just got to expand on it and make it make it a little bit more, how can I put it, councillor friendly for the whole council, because there are going to be people on the whole council that might object to this.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, if that's okay, I'll put some more thought into it and maybe talk to highways a bit more and see what's what, and maybe raise some of the other issues and see what comes and report back to the next meeting, if that's all right.
That's great. Yeah, thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing. Done that. To receive a 12-month maintenance plan and approve Transition Oundle and Oundle in Bloom initiative to town planters. Right. I'm quite happy with this. I don't know if anybody's sort of seen the report, but it looks good to me. I don't see any problem with it, as long as they're paying for it and we're not footing the bill, and they're going to be looking after it. Do you see any problem with it?
Well, other than the fact that they've not actually produced the plan of how they're going to maintain it, I've not heard.
No, they've done. No, what I'm saying is I'm happy with the thought of it, but as you say, they have got to come back and tell us what they're going to do. Well,
the planters have been planted in already. They're planted up.
Have they?
Have they?
Well, the one round by the bicycle rack opposite number 4 certainly is. I stood and looked at it this
so
morning.
I haven't been in the town centre for weeks.
Yeah, they appear to have gone ahead.
Oh, I'll have a look tomorrow then. I didn't.
Yeah. I'll go down tomorrow morning before I go to work. I don't go into the town centre, you know, because the only shop I go to is Wells, and Wells deliver now, so I don't have to.
I go to the post box, and that's why I've seen it.
Ah, yeah.
So which one are you saying has been done?
The
Val?
one by the post box, the one in the big trough with the bicycle racks on attached.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
They planted up, certainly.
I'll go and have a look at the rest of them tomorrow then, see if they've done the rest of them.
Strange mix of plants, unless somebody's taken the initiative and just gone out and done it.
Oh, okay.
I think it was being discussed last night, wasn't it, at their meeting?
Yeah.
And they were going to shift it through to us for today, but obviously it hasn't made it.
And I must admit, I didn't have time.
We had it at
chase
the full council meeting, though, didn't we? Was it last week or the week before when they were?
No, we had it at Estates, at the last Estates, and everybody said they were happy with it as long as there was a plan moving forward, so that they stayed looking nice. So,
right, okay.
But when I get the plan, I will send it to you.
Great. I thought I'd seen it. Oh well, must be something else. Next thing. Music Trust, Oundle Music Trust update and see report. I don't actually remember seeing a report on this one.
It's on the properties report, at the very bottom.
Ah, right, hold on.
Shifting the food festival to the 10th of July.
Yeah.
I've got the monthly, if an event is able to go ahead.
So they're basically just saying they're obviously making plans in the hope that they can do what they want to do, but rather they normally have the food festival. It would normally have been on the 17th of July, but it clashes with the Rockingham Food Festival. So they've asked if they can have it on the 10th of July, but obviously that's the same day as we have our farmers market. But obviously they've given assurances that they wouldn't be wanting to turf out our usual attendees and they can have their usual spots. So they would obviously work round that. So it would just basically be a big food festival instead of just the normal farmers market.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think that's a good idea. However, we still don't know if we're going to be out of lockdown in July.
Well, that's what they're saying. Can we just approve it or not?
We
so
can,
that on the basis
we can approve it. Does the full council have to approve this?
No, I think Estates. I think that's why it's come to Estates.
Okay. Ian?
I was just wondering if there's a chance that some of the farmers market people might get their noses put out of joint.
Well, that's. I think we should ask the question as well. You see, the farmers.
Yeah, it sounds like a great chance for them to get an increased footfall, but is it worth just us saying?
Out of
Do you
politeness.
mind? Okay.
I think. Yeah. I mean, that
Tell them the
goes
benefit
without
of it.
saying, really, isn't it?
So can we propose and second it to approve it on the basis that the existing farmers market people are happy?
Yeah, I'll propose that.
Okay.
Malcolm second. All those in favour? Yeah, I think unanimous.
Thank you.
Right, the January action plan. This is for the basically for what the lads are doing, isn't it? So.
Yeah. Oh no, it's mainly us, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah.
You're going to be even busier now.
Yeah, just think of it this way, Lisa. You were on furlough, but forget that for lark.
Sorry, we've never been on furlough.
I know, it's all right. I do appreciate that council workers don't go on furlough.
I'm on furlough, but then I'm retired.
Yeah, permanent furlough.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's okay. But any other business to report?
Not for me.
I'll ask Ian first. Malcolm?
No. Hello.
Emma's back.
Just in time.
I think Val's got some business.
Val, what would you like to discuss?
It's a comment about bicycling, and I'm pro cycling. It's not that I'm anti-cyclist in any way, but I've noticed that quite a lot of cycling on the pavements. And I was driving up North Street from, if you like, the Waitrose end, and somebody was cycling down the other way very fast towards me on the pavement. And it's not a straight road, there's a bend in it. And there could easily have been a situation on very narrow pavements with pedestrians. I don't know whether it's possible to put out it's difficult, isn't it? Telling people not to disobey the law, as it were.
The problem...
Fine for cycling on pavements is £1,000. People don't want to recognise that fact.
We could put signs up. I don't see any reason why we can't ask. It would be highways that did that, wouldn't it, Lisa?
Yes, it would. I think it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I agree with you, Val, is that they don't seem to take any notice of the red and green lights.
Correct. They don't.
You know, if they're red, they go through, and if they're green, they go through. It makes no difference. Ian.
I was going to say, as a cyclist, I almost got knocked off my bike the other day by a car coming through North Street, coming through a red light. So
they do that all the time as well, Ian. Yeah,
but I think
you get absolutely fed up with it, don't you?
I was out walking around last night, and I think dusk and evening, people are probably getting caught out without headlights, and that maybe makes them more likely to jump on curbs at time. It's certainly something we could put on the notice boards, I suppose, if that's...
Yeah, I mean, this was Sunday morning, it wasn't night time.
Yeah, no, if it's all right, I'll ask Rebecca to come up with something for the notice boards, if that's okay.
Brilliant.
Well, they're not going to read them, are they?
No, but other people might.
Yeah, okay.
They won't read signs.
Yeah, it's a good idea. That's a good place to put it, Ian, I think. Leave it at that.
What we could do is make a game on a computer and put it on out for general streaming, so that everybody could find out what they actually do on the roads instead of just taking a chance on it.
If you do the programming, Peter, we'll mark it.
I'm afraid I can't do programming.
How long would it take the government to come up with their app? Do you think it'd be any quicker?
No, we need a youngster to do that, Ian. I'm afraid I'm far too long in the tooth to come up with that with programming.
If I find one, I'll let you know.
Before I forget, would Lisa mind waiting on behind for a moment? I need to apologise to her.
Oh no, Lisa's been held back.
Yeah.
Stay behind.
She's been a naughty girl. She's got to go to school again. Right. So, there's no other business.
No.
All right. The next meeting is on the 18th of March. Hey, hang on a minute.
23rd of March.
Sorry, the 23rd of March. I've got it in red, and I thought, oh, that's 12 noon. I thought we don't start these meetings till 7:30.
Do now.
It's
It's a long
just-
one, Peter.
It's just the usual reminder.
I know. Okay, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that it's a bit long-winded tonight, but unfortunately, we had to discuss certain aspects of what's going on, and I'm hoping that we've managed to sort of get things a little bit clearer on the way forward on certain aspects of the problems we've got. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. I say good luck.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Bye,
Good luck,
all.
pal. Hope it all goes well.
Bye.
Bye now.
Naughty step. See you later.
Don't go, Lisa.
Bye.
Did you forget?
Well, sort of. I've so many things on my mind at the moment. But on the other hand, every day is exactly the same. Precisely the same.